Hi, my name is Matthew Salazar, and this is going to be my Unit 3 video for OR theory. Um, so essentially the assignment is just to demonstrate wound dressing for a specific procedure. Um, so basically, I'm going to describe the surgical procedure that the patient went through. So essentially, this patient had an open reduction surgery on their clavicle, basically. And it's basically just to put the collarbone back in place. And this is a surgery that's not necessarily needed all the time. Like, there is the choice not to get the surgery, but then there's the chance that it's going to heal with disunion, which could lead to further complications. And for some, depending on the severity, it could be treated with just a sling and they could go on their way. And then for some, if they want to get back to their activities quicker, they can elect to take the surgery, and the recovery time is about 8 to 12 weeks. So essentially, we're going to be preparing the incision site. So essentially, this is going to be the skin preparation. This could be different depending on the patient. I know that usually it's going to be providine iodine solution, but there are people that are allergic to iodine, so it's going to have to be a chlorhexidate solution. And then essentially it's going to be followed up with an alcohol pad or an alcohol solution. So essentially that's what we're going to do. Proper cleaning is necessary before placing any dressings because it could help reduce the amount of microbes present. It could help with infection prevention, and essentially it's just good practice. It's aseptic technique. It's overall for patient safety. And this is done before placing the dressings. So essentially this is what we're going to do first. We're going to use our iodine providine solution or a chlorhexidate solution. We're going to pretend the incisions right here. So essentially we're going to just rub the area with the solution. And then we're going to follow it up with the alcohol solution. There's definitely going to be stitches right here. They're probably going to be dissolvable. And essentially, what comes next is a specialized pad. From my research and from my own open reduction surgery, because I recently had this surgery myself back in March. I believe a Sterizone strip is what was used, an ST91. And essentially it's an antimicrobial dressing. It has like the silver lining on it. It's real heavy duty. It's really airtight. It's got this airtight seal. So I'm going to be using this autoclave bag to represent the Sterizone strip. We got these from surgical instrumentation in our kit, so I had some left over, so I'm figuring I might as well just use this for the Sterizone strip. So after the wound is properly cleaned, we're going to put the Sterizone strip over the wound, over the stitches. And essentially what this is going to do is it's going to provide antimicrobial properties. It's going to help with infection prevention. It's going to protect the stitches as well, and it kind of helps increase comfort for the patient. It essentially provides this airtight seal over the wound, and it kind of keeps the wound environment just protected. It has antimicrobial properties as well, and it overall just protects the stitches. It's real heavy duty, and essentially you're going to be advised to leave this on until it falls off on its own, or until your first follow-up appointment, which is usually 1.5 weeks after the procedure, and it will essentially fall off on its own. Um, So in this procedure, there's not really going to be any drains that are going to be used necessarily. A lot of times that's done during the procedure. I know that the wound's going to be irrigated several times as well. So essentially a drain's not applicable in this situation. But if there was a drain, there's a specific way to do that. Essentially the wound site would be dressed around the drain, like there would be gauze pads around the drain at first to kind of absorb any excess fluid, any drainage. And there's occlusive dressing as well that's pretty much going to go around the drain, and that's going to kind of hold it in place. And then that same gauze can be used after the surgery as well to kind of help with the drainage. But like I said, that's not really applicable in this situation. But and then basically the last piece of dressing is it's going to just basically be this bulky bandage. I couldn't quite get the exact verbiage or name down for it. I want to say that it's some sort of AB B pad, or just your regular standard surgical bandage. It's not necessarily going to be taped into place because it has its own adhesion. So this is essentially going to be placed over the Steri-Strip, and like I said, it has its own adhesion. And then once that's secured in place, it's good to go. And essentially this is just to help absorb any excess drainage if there is any, and it's going to essentially protect the Steri-Strip and basically to protect the incision site temporarily. And this could pretty much be removed like the very next day. And essentially the wound care for this is you just pretty much follow your physician's instructions, and above all, just make sure to leave the Sterizone strip on until it falls off on its own or until your next appointment, because that's the antimicrobial strip. And then essentially from there, after your first follow-up appointment, your physician's going to basically go over how your wound is healing, if there's any worries, if there's any signs of infection, anything like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like only 2 dressings are really applied. Like this is a pretty simple procedure. This is just this procedure that I thought of because I've personally went through this procedure myself, so I feel like I was able to explain it from my first-hand accounts. So yeah, that is my video for OR theory. Hopefully that was informative.